Well, I am so excited today, Liz. This is Kris Holmes, one of my very
welcome.
Hey, Michelle.
So happy you're on Sparkly.
I am thrilled to be here. I know Michelle has talked about her episodes and her podcast, and I think I don't know how it came about when we were talking that I very nonchalantly said, well, I would do that podcast. I don't even know that Michelle heard me fully, but she did. Because before I knew it, she's like, oh, you're going to have to come on that show. I'm on our show.
Yeah. Well, Liz actually is the one who approached me.
Wow.
And that's why we're sitting here today, which is so awesome.
It is.
But Michelle told me, and we've never met, and so I'm so excited to dive into this. Mm-hmm. She told me that you are the strongest person she knows. And that is really saying something coming from Michelle. So I cannot wait to get to know you better.
Yeah. Well, I consider that very high praise from my dear friend here that she said that, and that makes me feel happy and joyous inside. So thanks, Michelle.
Well, I'm going to talk about the way we met.
Okay.
Before we go back and learn a little bit more.
Yes.
And get to
sure.
Just
because this is a great story.
It is a great story.
Mm-hmm.
So we met. Everybody knows a little show called The Office.
Yep.
Right. And we are in Scranton. We're from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Liz here is from the Wilkes.
I know. Well, it's just no love, like Scranton.
Our sister city.
It's a beautiful city, but no love.
It's south of it. I call it the Mason Pitts by. You need your passport.
Exactly.
Right? But I think that's convergence coming together. I think of sort of disappearing, and Pittston's amazing too. But so because this was the home of The Office, without going through a whole story, I had this idea to have like all the actors and writers that would come here at a convention. And it went nowhere. No matter who I tried to get together, great idea, but it went nowhere until somebody said to me, you need to talk to Tim Holmes. And he did events and marketing at our local newspaper. And so I got Tim's number. I called him. And that's when the Office convention is
when it started.
Where he started, right? So he was the one. He didn't even watch the show that much.
He still doesn't watch the show that much.
Oh, so interesting. I never would have guessed that.
But he instantly connected the benefit it would have for the city.
Yes,
right? And that this could be a great party. And still loves a great party.
He does.
That's part of. He does back to how you guys met, which we'll get to in a minute. But so I became friends with Tim, and we were doing this whole thing with The Office, and then Chrissy would start to come, into the slowly. And it took me a while to sort of unraveled like an onion, but I'm like, she's the backbone here.
So little did anyone know between my husband, Tim, Michelle, and Sarah Hailstone, the three of them really put this entire convention together. I was sitting in most of the meetings in the background, listening in, trying not to give too much advice. But, when Tim and I would go home at the end of the night, you'd be like, well, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? Or what do you think of this? And I was like that that silent partner in the background. But in doing so, we got to meet.
We got to know each other, and that unfolded over the course of, because we spent a lot of during that whole time frame of putting that together. It was maybe over the course of months, and then years as we went to the second one. We just became great friends. And my favorite moment where we got to express our friendship was on the field.
It was. I know the moment she's going to talk about.
Yeah, it was on our local AAA field up here, the baseball stadium. What are they called now? The Railroad.
The Railroaders. I was just there last weekend.
So we had the Office convention in 2007, and then everybody came back again. And the show was ending.
Yes.
So the Office wrap party in 2013, and the first time we got most of the cast, except the Fab, the Fab Four, but we had the best time.
It was magical.
It was magic.
It really was.
The writers came. It was just one of those times you'd think it's lightning in a bottle and never get it again.
Yeah.
And then the show wraps, and the the creator of the show, who adapted it for America, Greg Daniels, just said to the entire cast, we're all going,
Yes.
except Steve Carell, right?
Yes.
So who was shooting a movie at the time. And we're up at the stadium, and we just had this incredible like party downtown. There was a parade. There was like, we did another writer's walk, and we had all these just great events. And it's all culminating in this Q&A with the entire cast at
Down on the field.
out on the field. Tim and I are announcing everybody. And at the end, everybody's out in your chairs. And the very last announcement Tim gives it is Steve Carell.
Yeah.
He was there.
He was there.
I'm still getting chills.
I have to now.
It was,
It was the crowd crazy. You just saw pure joy. You heard pure joy.
yeah.
This wonderful night. And the entire event culminated in
Fireworks.
right?
Correct.
And Christy and I are out on the field. Take it from there, Christy.
We're out on the field, and John Krasinski is standing there. And he, yes. I mean, and we're standing, he's in the middle of us, and it was the two of us. And I kind of took a step back, and because just think of where we were and who we were with. But I turned to Michele and said, all of this was fabulous, but the best part of this entire last few years was our friendship together. That we became really friends.
Like, wait a minute.
Yes. Yeah.
First of all, like, this was all like you guys, and we're like,
Yes.
a lot of great people. But yeah. And it's like, and we say we wouldn't be friends if it was
If it wasn't for the office.
the greatest thing.
That
Be up in the office. And then we did a group hug. Three of us.
we did. And we
love John
picture.
Krasinski.
There is a picture that it was the three of us, and that was the moment, because I said it wasn't about this convention. It was really about meeting Michele and Sarah and then forming that friendship from there. Yeah.
And it was great for the city.
It was. It was.
Actually, I have to say, like, I have YouTubed that moment on the field where they announced
Yes.
Corral and all of that. And people should YouTube it. It is, you can feel the excitement is like palpable, right?
Yeah.
And it was such a wonderful thing that you all created in embracing this for Scranton.
Yes.
And because a lot of people would have said, oh, they're making fun of Scranton. And I mean, we were talking about Scranton and what a thread it is around the world.
Center of the universe.
It's really a wonderful, wonderful place.
It is.
And you all just embraced it, and Scranton became the 11th cast member, whatever.
It became a part of the show. Definitely. Yeah. And I love that too. And I think of, our friendship moment, and I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit, but what also like warms my heart. So at the time, my daughter, at the end of the wrap party in 2013, she's in college, and now I even see this unbelievable friendship that now Michele has even with my daughter. Who is now like 36 years old, and also
Yes. And I feel like she's one of my really close, good friends now too. And it's
same thing.
well, and that's all. Maybe this is the benefit, and this will take us back. Like, this is the benefit of being a young mom.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and
For sure.
because anybody looking at you right now and how beautiful you are, how young you are, and next,
you.
yes, your grandmother.
I am a grandmother of 3. Amazing. And my oldest grandchild, my Stella Bella, my little star, will be 11 this year. And we also have a set of twins, a little girl and a boy who are, I say little, they're 6, they're over 6. Christine, by the way, and Len and James. And yes, and I think, my life started a family a lot younger than most people my age, but reaping the benefit now of being a young grandmother. And started with a young mother, but now the young grandmother is. So I have no regrets.
You're seeing all benefits now, but
Absolutely.
without sacrifice.
Correct.
So take us back. Actually, take us there so Sarah listeners can get to know you, because I want Christina now. To I don't even know life was before Tim Holmes.
Wow.
Or the Holmes family, but give us a little bit of that, and then
I will.
into your life and being a mom.
I know. So for everybody listening, I did meet my husband when I was 12. I met him in junior high school, and I have 2 older brothers, and my the middle child, my brother, was in the same class as Tim at North Scranton Junior High School. And one day, my brother brings this friend home, Tim, and wow, did I think he was something special. And we started as friends. He was, my brother introduced us and we became friends, and we started to date within about 6 months of becoming friends. And I say date, I mean, I was 12 years old and, he was 13, and he was the first boy that I ever dated. And I will tell you some things that, that seem unrealistic, but I knew then that he was the person I was going to be with.
Wow.
I really did. I mean, in my heart, I was, 12 years old. I was 7th grade. And I just knew that this was the man I was going to be with. And I say that, and we were kids. And he told me at one point, when he was then going to be going off to high school, I was like a year behind him. And he said, we're not going to date all, in high school because, we need to see other people or whatever. But then, we're going to be together. And I looked at him and I'm like, okay, that's great. And you just haven't realized it yet. But but I knew, my heart knew. I never really dated. I mean, we've been married now for 40 years. Our first date was 45 years ago.
I love that you still celebrate that.
We do. He actually remembers our first date anniversary more so. Not that he doesn't remember our wedding anniversary, but that it's more important to him. Our first date anniversary, which was like May 3rd of 1980. And
What did you guys do?
We went, so this is kind of crazy, but there was a carnival in Green Ridge, right by like Brunetti's Pizza, that, they would have like traveling little carnivals. Mm-hmm. And we had to meet there. I think I walked and he walked, we didn't even ride our bikes, but we walked and we met. We had, of course, some of our friends with us. And I'll never forget, it was the night that I had my first kiss because it was with him. My friend, Carol, who was one of my best friends, was with me. And, I lived by Weston Field. He lived in North Scranton. And as we were leaving, he said, well, I'll walk you part of the way. And so he walked a few blocks and nothing was happening. And then he said, oh, I'll walk you a few more blocks. And finally, we got to closer to my house. That now he's getting further and further away from his house. And my friend said, please, will you just go over and kiss this guy goodnight? And I did. And I don't even remember walking home. Like, I was like, wow, like, just coming home and, my parents were there and how was your night? And I couldn't even, oh, great. And I just went right up to my room and I said, he's the one. I know it sounds like crazy that I would say that but I just knew in my heart, like, that he was the one. So I'm in my senior year of high school. Tim now is in his first year at the University of Scranton. We're together, back to dating. He did date a lot of women in between. I'll just make that clear. I'll make that clear known. And I find out I am going to have a child. I think this was about April of my senior year.
Were you panicked or were you okay?
I was totally okay. Just trying to finish high school. I was very involved in speech and debate, and we had state tournaments and national tournaments that I got to go to every year. And I was more concerned about winning which I did, by the way. I took first in the state in prose reading. If you go to 1985 in the state of Pennsylvania, you'll see my name.
Wow.
And which comes in very handy with your very kids.
Yes. So, I mean, I was really concerned about just finishing, and still, I loved being a student. I was a very good student. I loved high school. I was very involved in everything. And so I still wanted to finish and without people knowing. So I graduated in June. I had a graduation party, which we then announced I was going to be married the following month. So, and we planned a wedding in about 6 weeks. It was beautiful. Had our family and friends, most of which thought we were crazy, but we had a really supportive family. And I think back, with how was I with it? It was because I could say without anything, it was the family support, that both from his side and my side.
What did that show up as? Like, other than just, okay, it's great.
There was no judgment. There was no, what are you doing? How could you do this? It was more, I think they understood I was a pretty responsible person, and so was Tim, and that we were going to make this work. As crazy as that sounded, to just get married the month after high school and start a family 6 months later. So
Change your goals.
oh, dramatically. I mean, I was, going to go to college, and fortunately, Tim was already at the University of Scranton and finishing his freshman year. And he continued. He never stopped. My life changed pretty dramatically. I was not going to go to the shore with all my girlfriends for senior week. That didn't happen, and I was okay with that. They were planning on where they were going to go to school, and that just stopped. And I was planning on having a baby shower and trying to set up a little house, a place for us to live. So yes, my life changed very dramatically. Tim's, not saying didn't, because he was going to be a father, but he was already in that college life. So his life changed, maybe not going out with friends all the time.
Did he have to work?
He did. He was working, he worked part-time at the Times, even while he was going to school. And fortunately, he kept that job because they offered him a job as soon as he graduated. But he graduated on time. He graduated in 4 years. For me, that wasn't in the cards, because now, I was a stay-home.
So did you start? You didn't start college?
I did not.
Okay.
I didn't. So the first few, probably 6 years of just getting them into grade school, I was a stay-home mom. A friend of mine worked up at Famous Fashions up at Kaiser Oak Shopping Center. And it was women's clothing. And she said, hey, do you want to maybe come and work a few nights? And that was the first job that because Tim could be home with them at night, and I started. And then I started at a women's clothing store downtown when they were now in school. And a friend of mine who was working in a corporate job up at Sandvik Steel mentioned to me, she said, there's an open level position here, and they pay for schooling. And I'd never really thought about it. I was just, doing this women's clothing. I didn't have a college degree, and I took the job. Now my kids were in school. I could work at a full-time job, and I started classes at night. So it took me about 7 years. I went to Marywood and graduated in accounting. And so, yes, I've taken a road different than most people, but now I was ready to come back to myself to say, well, what did I always want to do? Of course, I wanted to graduate from college and get a degree. That's where I was going until I started my family. And I wanted to show my children how important education was, that hey, mommy is doing homework with you tonight, which I did for about like 7 years. I think I finally graduated when my son was like starting high school and Emily was still like finished, like almost like in high school.
They must have been so proud of you.
Oh, they were. And to think about it, like my children were at my college graduation.
That's wonderful.
It was Mother's Day because Mary would always had their graduations on Mother's Day. And that was a really good Mother's Day
Yeah.
Yeah.
that they got to come. And I remember, I believe I put their names on my hat that, that they got to see me graduate. So but my life, that change was very immediate. There's certain moments in your life that I think you could visualize or feel so strongly that it's there. And that was one of them, where that transition to, I was always a very responsible person, but now I'm going to be a mom. And that it was like a switch. And then it became, now I just want to try to be the best mom. And I was terrified. I wasn't like, I was more, what kind of mom can I be, or, will I be? And will I have, a child that listens and is good and things like that? Like, how am I going to be? And we just said, well, we'll just take it one day at a time. And that's what we've done for 40 years.
It's like you were a natural at it. And I wonder during that time, did you have, I know Tim has a big family.
He does.
Did you have support around you?
So the funny thing with that is that Tim did have this big family. And Tim is my husband's one of 10, and he's number 9. He has 6 sisters and 3 brothers. And 5 sisters were born first. Then 3 boys, or the 4 boys, and then a girl at the end. And so most of his sisters, of course, were married and older and having children. So although there's a 13-year age gap between me and his oldest sister, we were pregnant at the same time. And but some of his sisters had already had their first children, and Tim knew how to change a diaper, knew how to hold the baby. I did not. Tim did all of that in the beginning and showed me how to do it, only because he had the experience with his own nieces and nephews at the time. And I thought personally he was more of a natural at it than I was because of that. But I mean, the minute I tell my son Patrick, like he was the purpose. Like, he just gave me, I didn't know what that was going to be like, because I never thought I wasn't going to be a mother. I just didn't have an idea of when that was going to happen. But the moment that I knew that this was him growing inside of me, it was a switch, and it was that purpose that it all clarified.
Do you feel like, because I know, like, now 7 years, you get your degree, you work on it, then
Yes.
then you move just to flip
I did.
through, which becomes another big factor of your life.
Mm-hmm.
But up until that point, because now you're a working woman, like a lot of mothers are, but that those younger years where your friends were going to the beach and having limitless potential, do you ever feel like you missed out, or is that where what's happening now sort of like the scales kind of balance?
I never thought I missed out. I loved having still a connection to my friends and knowing how they were still living that life, but never feeling like I wish I had that.
Yeah.
I had Tim, and it, like I said, it was a different path that I went down, and because of his strong family and his sisters and his brothers, it was you were a part of something. We were all there was like 4 children all born at the same time. Like, when my son was born, 4 of us were pregnant. When my daughter was born, 4 of us were pregnant. And it was such a really happy, simple fun, joyous time that I was never like, wow, I don't think I wanted to go through those college years. I loved hearing from my friends, but I felt like I had really of something around me that was just happy.
I think your journey fits your personality more.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, I think the fact that happened earlier for you, for somebody else might have been like, oh, I gave up all this. I think for you, it was like fit you like a glove.
And going to school at night, I loved school. I still love school. Like, I'm still learning things and being tested at things that I even do for work now. But I loved going to class as a more mature adult. I thought I got more out of it maybe than I would have if I was just single and skipping classes. I never skipped a class. I was like, oh, I'm going to get an A on this project. And, I thought I loved everything about it.
What I love about is you never, even, I think this is the first time I learned that you were the state champion of prose.
I was.
Because Kris does not
no,
she doesn't brag. Everything's very under the radar is what I would say. Right. So so when I met you, you were working at FlowServe.
Yes.
I know everything about Tim and the times and the whole thing. And I just know you have this job.
I do.
And I don't know much about it. I don't know what you did. I didn't even know the company. But as again, that unfolds slowly, like everything with you. I'm like, oh, it's a multi-billion-dollar company. The office here is $130 million. Chrissy's in the accounting. She's actually pretty high up and doing really well. And she's a CIP black belt. All these things start coming to light. So what was that chapter of life like?
Wow. So I was at Sandvik and very happy there. They paid for my education. I was working in finance, doing really well. And a headhunter used to call me and ask me, hey, do you have anybody for these positions? Because Sandvik had a very high standard of hiring people. So if you got that job there, that was really good. And so this headhunter used to call me, and he called me the one day with this job that he started to describe. And I said, wait a second. I'm like, that sounds like maybe something I want to pursue. He was so shocked and surprised because one thing I do is if I commit to something, I am a very committed, responsible person. It's been, slow and steady wins the race, and I wasn't even looking, and it was with FlowServe. And I interviewed with a woman who was the controller at the time, and I took the job. And I never thought I would switch to another company. And now I've been here for over 20 years at this company. And this progression of still learning started in finance, but then more opportunities. The more that you say yes, or the more that you say I'm willing to learn something that I'm not maybe educated in. And this woman was a great provider for that. She was a mentor. She was a genius. She was a woman. And I think that was the first time, if I'm not mistaken, that I actually reported to a woman. And she was very strong and great. And so I started to get more opportunities. And one of them was, to become a black belt, which I never thought.
Remember when you were going through that? I'm like, a what?
I know. And then when I tell people, and explain what that is. So if I tell people, my role, my title, because I moved from finance over to the operations side of the business. And FlowServe is this industrial pump company, and it's worldwide. It's 16,000 people, multi-billion dollar company. But because a lot of it revolves around manufacturing, because we do make parts and make pumps, and we're talking oil and gas refinery pumps. Okay, big pumps. And this CIP, if I say Six Sigma CIP black belt, so CIP is a continuous improvement process. And at the time, FlowServe And you could do this as a college course and get certified as a black belt for CIP, but they were doing their own program. So they have qualified people at FlowServe that was doing this. And crazy enough, it was half of it is statistical.
Yeah.
So like going back and doing a lot of math work. And once again, I never thought I would go back and do calculus again and standard deviation and all kinds of. I know.
Comfortable are those words.
I know. And the other half is about process improvement, like trying to find ways to make a process leaner, eliminating waste, solving problems. And I didn't think I would do this. And my boss at the time said, would you be interested? I said, yes. And I did it. And it was challenging.
Yeah.
I was in a classroom. This was probably about a year or so course because you have to do a whole project with it. And there was training. I got to go to Vienna for training. I got to travel for that. So that was like another really huge part of this. That was wonderful. But a lot of it was like a lot of hard work of learning things that I didn't think I was ready for, or prepared for. And I was, like I said, I was in a room with people much young. Here I am. Most of my life, I'm the younger.
Yeah.
Like I'm the younger mother showing up at PTA meetings and not fitting in. And now I was actually the older person with younger people who were just out of college taking this course and getting certified as CIP. And I did it.
How old were your kids at the time, would you guess?
They were definitely in college, okay. I think at this time. And that's another thing too, like as my opportunities grew and my children got older that, they were pretty self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Either in high school or in college, I felt like it's my time to start to take on some more opportunities or challenges and started to travel with work, which has been really wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then you also spearheaded a transition.
I did. We transitioned from an older ERP system to a newer one at the time, about 10, 12 years ago. And there was 4 of us that were asked to step away from our current positions to do this transition, which is
and what is an ERP?
So it's your it's your computer system. So for us, for people who understand, like it was an Oracle version, like, people use like, oh, we're on SAP or on Oracle or whatever. And this was a huge undertaking.
This is what I remember of that time, Chrissy, is like, this is, I think, the closest to burnout.
Oh, definitely.
I have ever seen you.
Definitely.
You just take. You can do anything. You can handle a lot on
this
your
was
shoulders.
A challenge.
And like, I remember this was like very time consuming.
It's very time consuming.
You had to travel for it. And it was a really big deal for the company. And you were very committed to making it happen.
Yes.
But I could see on the outside what it was taking for you to do that.
It definitely changed. And, I could say how I conducted myself.
Yeah.
And for me, now I could look back and say what a huge learning this was for me professionally and personally to start to understand that the weight of the project, I think, on the 4 shoulders of these 4 people we had to succeed at this. We had to get 5 sites converted over from one system to this system. And it took about 2.5 years of this to do this. And it wasn't until it was really pointed into my face that, wow, you're starting to get like a little short with people, or you're not, you're taking this too personally. That I really had to look at myself. I had to take not 1 step back, probably 5 steps back professionally to say, whoa, if people are perceiving my helping them to understand this system, it was more like they probably felt like I was jamming it down their throats.
Yeah.
And that wasn't gonna be, we were successful in getting this implemented, but at a cost. And that cost was how then people perceived me. And all along I thought, well, what do you mean? I'm the one helping you. I'm the one teaching you and helping you. And I really, it was definitely a change professionally that I started to say, wow, I can't change. I don't want this to change who I am.
You are, right.
And it started to.
That's what I could see from the outside is like, whereas they were perceiving maybe a little snippiness. Because
Yes.
you're the kindest person I know. Like you're so good.
Yes.
And you never snap at anybody. And then, but I could see the stress. It was wearing on you. It was
stressful.
like just seeing the cartilage wear down.
For sure.
You know?
And I think so many women face that same pressure.
Yes.
So what did you then, when you took that self-reflection period, what did you adjust?
So I actually met with a team, and there were actually 2 women, and they were like consultants. And it was my boss, this woman, who made the suggestion and said, I'm going to send you to the 2 of them. And they helped me to walk through different the feedback that they were getting. To make me understand how people were perceiving me so that I could understand it. And I am so grateful that I did that, because it totally changed then how now I conduct myself. Because we all have challenges.
Sure.
We all have challenges, and we all have things that you're so passionate about. And I still am passionate about so many things in my life, but I never want to get to a point that somebody starts to perceive me in a different way. If I can't be myself, and it maybe like you learn how to, okay, I am frustrated on something, but maybe I have now a trusted work friend that I could vent that to. And I'm not going to vent it out in the open.
Yeah.
Right.
Where it may affect how other people are going to continue with a project.
Right.
Right. And it started to get me to realize how I conduct myself is going to affect others.
Because as a leader, you're a weather bell.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah.
Definitely. And that I never wanted it to affect my personal life.
Yeah.
And, with my friends, did it make me a little more turned inward? Probably yes. But maybe that is okay. I'm okay with that.
Here's what
I'm okay with that.
I think you did, but I think it led to a lot of self-reflection. Oh, totally. Because as you crested that very intense project, and of course it was a success. It was never not going to be a success with you on it. But as you came out of it, it sort of coincided with your first grandchild.
Oh, it did.
Right?
It did.
And I remember,
and that was a game changer.
It was like
I thought my son was, and he was a game changer, but
it was like as the pressure released from this one thing, this kind of magical thing happened on the other side.
Yes.
And Tim described it as it was like Chrissy smoked a garbage bag full of weed.
Right? Right? I know. I'm going to do that again one day. And it's going to be a real garbage bag full of weed.
It was like everything in your life got lighter.
It did.
It was like this thing happened. It was successful. You had those moments of introspection. And
I did.
You would have figured it out with or without the grandchild, but that just was like magical timing.
I mean, it just made everything come full circle.
Yeah.
Especially with my own children. Like to see my son, who, like I said, was my purpose. He gave me my purpose. My daughter Emily was like that extra bonus cherry on top. But he gave me my purpose to see him now become that father with this unbelievable, precious child that now, you said, like, did you miss anything early on or I got to experience that baby in a whole new way.
Sure.
She was just everything. It was just, I love my son. I love my daughter, but this was I felt like the Grinch, like your heart grew even more so. Like it was just because it took the worry out of like, you're the mother, the grandmother, it's just like, we're just going to have so much fun. We are just going to read 10 books, not one. If you want to, it's unlimited of what they want to do, and that you want to be there and be present with them and share everything you can. And you're not the one yelling at them,
Right.
to
be.
put the cookie down. I'm like, eat the cookie. Enjoy that cookie. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And I love the balance too that speaks to, because so many women, I think, struggle with not having good balance, and the reality is it's sometimes the balance is going to weigh in the favor of an expansion in your family.
Yes.
And sometimes the balance is going to weigh in the favor of getting a very important project done at your work.
But the real balance was the balance with myself. And taking the time, I mean, these grandchildren are everything, but really the balance of starting to focus selfishly on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I started that, and I know, you know a little bit of my yoga road, right? That I started to do yoga.
When did that start?
So probably about
when did that moment where you're like, I need some time for me come into the picture?
Well, I think during this very stressful time of my work life, and yes, there was so much still joy and satisfaction in my family and my grandchildren, but still, what about myself and taking care of myself? And my daughter took me to my first hot yoga class. And I thought it was just wonderful. And I didn't really consistently go in the beginning, but there was something that was calling me back there. And I've done a lot of things: CrossFit, running, different forms of yoga, but this was something that I felt called me. And I try to describe it of being on that mat, and it's still a community, which is really another important piece of this, of myself, of sharing with myself, but of when you're on that mat in that whatever 2 feet by 6 feet, that's my space. And you can have, it's also, very interesting, because before COVID, I could go to a class and there could be someone 1 inch on this side of you and 1 inch on this side and 1 inch there and 1 inch there. And it's
a hot yoga.
And it's 100 and it's 105 degrees. It's so interesting because it gets you over so much of feeling like, why is that person next to me? You have to learn how to do that. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, it gets you to be like, I don't care how close that person is. This space is my space. And I started to I get closer. Yeah. Because I still want to share this with people, but it's still my space on that mat. And that really was another path or another game changer for me, that I did start to need to focus on myself and that balance.
And around what age were you when that?
So I was still in my 40s. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I was now starting to go consistently, like a little more consistently, because I could. You could see my grandchildren. My children were well taken care of. They're on their own. My husband was great, with what he was doing, and my job was now good. I started to understand, like, okay, this project is done, but I'm still going to take things as they come and not get too stressed out. But that yoga was just something for me, in finding that balance. And then about 2 years ago, they started to advertise like a teacher training. Never. If you asked me 6 months before that, would you ever be a yoga teacher? Oh no, I can't do that. I could never do that. I'm not at that level. And the crazy thing is two women who I went to high school with were signing up for the class. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, why can't I try this? What is holding me back from doing this? It was because it wasn't like I could care less what anybody else if I thought, what, are you crazy to do that? It was me. And I did, and it was challenging, but I loved every single, it was about a 6-month class, every second of it. And it started to give me a little more confidence on, all right, well, now I've done a yin training. I'm doing qigong training right now, which is about a year of training. And I'm doing sound bowls. And the sound bowls was another path, another box that I opened. That sometimes I put myself or my things in compartments. I don't know. That's just the way that my brain works. That I'm very patient, and I know there's boxes that are unopened that are out there, and some of them are good boxes, some of them are challenging boxes. Maybe it's something at work or something with a family member or something that you have to get through, but then something could be really good that you're just looking forward to. But I always have compartments. And I went to a sound bowl class, and I invited my daughter, and we walked out, and she turned to me and she said, we should do these sound bowls together. And it was like another box appeared. And I didn't know how, and I didn't know, but I said, let's do it. And we looked into it, and we are now certified therapeutic sound bowl teachers.
So cool.
I was one of their, it's not a student, one of my participants.
One of the participants in this part of my life that I feel like my skill sets now, I get to pick and choose what I want that to be. Like everything has been about career and getting better and getting promoted or making more money or, to take care of my family. But now these skill sets are not just for me. I love sharing the yoga with my family and friends, and the sound bowls.
I get to benefit from you taking care of you and saying, this is what I want to do.
This is what I want to do.
But because for you, Chrissy, I think community has always been so important.
Oh, for sure.
And this is just another box a community.
It is.
Maybe there's even areas there's the community boxes, right? This is just another box you've opened to serve your community. And maybe not one you ever saw coming.
Yes.
But throughout your life, you, and again, everything else, these things that I've found out about you over time, you have, been on the board of St. Joe's, having Tim do the toy drive every year for Christmas is that Catholic Social Services?
Yes, for about 15 years I did it.
Is Holy Cross Festival is
for Holy Rosary.
Holy Rosary.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I got the
Ronnie room.
holy, the holy thing. But and then the St. Joe's Festival. So
yes,
and I know that's just the tip of the iceberg, but I'm not surprised. I'd love to hear more of those, but I'm not surprised that now even these things that you're doing for yourself, and that's being on your little mat, you want to share with
I want to share. Yeah. And the community involvement of the things that you mentioned, to me was more about gratitude. And that, Tim and I were together and we had these, this beautiful family, and how can we give back? And the first time I was asked, and this was, I think I was only 20, so I don't even know if I had my daughter at that time, but I was asked to help with the youth group at Holy Rosary because I was closer to their age, but yet I was like a mother. It was kind of a funky little period there. And I said yes. And I started, and I thought, wow, I could start to give a little something back of a story that I didn't know was going to work out with Tim and I, but we were working at it, right? So why not share that with young people? And we did that. And then we got involved with like doing the toy drive or doing, the St. Joe's. My dad was adopted. And a friend of mine asked me to be on the board at St. Joe's. And it just...
And what is St. Joe's?
So this St. Joe's Center, which, has been around for...
My mom was adopted from St. Joe's, and my uncle and her brother.
And we have this in common.
Yeah.
For so many years. I think what it was there.
And now they help medically fragile,
disabled, and it's just, but at the time they were all, and they still do adoptions. And when my friend asked me to join, I thought, but I thought of my dad. And I met with the woman, the nun in charge at the time, and she took me around, and she stopped the interview, and she took me into, she said, come for a walk with me. And she took me into this room, and she said, this is probably where your dad was born and where he was. And I thought, well, this makes sense. So the involvement in community was always revolved with Tim and I about being grateful for what we had, but also about what was really important. And St. Joe's was just like a no-brainer. Same thing with like Catholic Social Services when we started the toy drive. So I think like a lot of like people think like, well, how can I get involved? And to me, it was find something that you really means something to you to start with. Maybe spiritual, maybe, like I said, I had this connection with my dad that he came from there and that meant something to me. Because you can't say yes to everything. So that is another thing of saying no. I am much better at it than my husband.
It's a skill set.
It's a skill set, but saying yes to make an impact, right? Because if you just say yes to everything, like I think you just go through the motions without it having that impact on you as much as an impact that you can have on whatever you try to get yourself involved in. So picking and choosing, right? As much as hard as that could be for some people, I think it's good advice that you really find something you're passionate about, something that just really interests you. It could be, I really love books and get involved with the library, or, just something like so simple and small could really take you down a path to find another community, find another way of a balance for yourself, or sharing a skill set that you have. Like these sound bowls and the yoga is just joyous for me, like to start to share with people.
And now you've created these wellness days.
We've created
I want them to go out
never.
We're
Because
other
I'm so fortunate to have so many sister-in-laws and nieces that friends. And my daughter and I were trying to get certified in the sound bowl. So we needed, participants. And we said, well, let's just have how many of us have said, let's have a wellness day as women? And we got together, we all brought food. So it was about sharing some food.
Great.
We did some outside yoga.
Meditation.
We had a woman who did our meditation, who also did some readings for us that day, and she was amazing.
I was in tears, and I don't even believe this stuff.
And then we did like individual sound bowl sessions, and I thought we should be doing that as women.
Yes,
we should be doing this like all the time.
We did next time, by the way.
We should be doing this all the time.
This is when we talk about Spark Me is about creating this community, and that we should have these events that we do. These wellness days are exactly those kind of meetups and events that
it is.
Yeah,
it should be one of the things.
We absolutely should. I have only been to one sound bath. That's what they called it. And actually, Tracy Salingo, one of our previous guests, hosted it. And she had a woman come in and do it. Maybe it was you. I don't know, Kris. But it was funny because I invited 4 friends. One was going through a divorce.
Wow.
One was a widow unexpectedly, at the age of 40. One had a son who was dealing with drug addiction issues. and then me, which the list is way too long to go into. But I went to my friends and I said, I don't know what this is. My friend says it's going to be helpful, and we all need some help. So we're all going to go. And I have to say, like, I don't know what happens with the sound and the energy when you do the sound bath thing, but it's for real.
It really is. And it's more about the vibration. The bowls that my daughter and myself got certified in, they are bronze, so they are almost all copper. And the whole idea, depending on the session that we're having, is to place the bowls on your body.
Okay.
And so they are called therapeutic vibrational sound bowls. And so the sound that if you could focus or let a piece of your mind turn down or turn off or quiet down to open to sound, but the vibrations then of that going through your body, I think is like magical. I mean, it has been just the feedback that we have received and
awesome.
the joy or just the openness or, wow, I was really able to relax for 30 minutes. When's the last time that, I always say one of the things I started to tell people is if you can't take the time for yourself, how can you give time to others? And so like to give someone 30 minutes of relaxation for them to focus on themselves, like we get to share that. Emily and I get to share that when we're doing these sessions, and it's joyous.
I've shared with you, Chrissy, like I think there's something to the sound because scientifically, like they say, if you go down to the smallest level, it's the string theory that we are vibrations. And that even if you take sound and you have sand and you like clap, you make the sound vibrations, certain like notes in the sand, it makes these shapes that we're all familiar with. And some of them even look like the earliest form of life, like fossils, So I think there's something to vibration and sound and connection. And
I do too.
That brings us all together. That is very
well.
visceral.
I mean, just think about music in general, right?
Yeah.
Just musical tones.
Yes.
Right, in general, and how good you feel when you're listening to something that really, like, you could feel it in your soul. You could feel it on the inside. That is changing something inside of you, right? And it's vibration. It's I'm the book the training that we did it. It took us about 6 months. It was about a 400-page manual, and most of it was about the scientific, like, mechanics of your ear and the vibrations and decibels and things like on learning that we were just fascinated by it.
I love that you're doing
on what it does. But yeah, it has given, I mean, I get a really, really added bonus. My daughter is doing this with me. I mean, when we walked out of that class and she just turned to me and said, we need to do this.
So great.
I was like, absolutely.
Chrissy, something that Tim said recently really hit me because let me just tie it into, I was just listening to a book on tape, and I love, I love all this stuff about quantum and stuff. It's called Dark Matter. It's like, it's a sci-fi book, right? But this guy goes into all these worlds that branch off, like, because he's in this world where his life is so good. And it sounds like your life. Like I when I was reading this book, I pictured you and Tim and your family. And this other version of him kind of comes in and like kicks him out of his own life so he can have it. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But it was like so exciting. But I'm like, oh my God, that would be like, there'd be some other version of you or Tim that would be like, hey, you guys got it right. Like we screwed up back there somewhere, right? Like, but you guys did the right, like, I want this. Can we trade? And I remember Tim speaking to Emily and just saying, like, you got to realize how good we have it. Like, it doesn't get any better.
It doesn't get
like
any
you
better.
guys, like, when people are searching for all of these things, searching for happiness, searching for purpose, searching for connection, searching for community and family, I always think, like, I love my family. Like, I think of my family too, of course, but like I really do, having such close proximity to your family like think that in some way, all those years ago, and because you stayed committed and you worked through lots of challenges and things that would have been very difficult for other people, or they would have felt like they missed out on things, that like you didn't just reap the reward in the end. You've all the way through you have, and you have this gorgeous, beautiful life.
We never take that for granted.
I know, and you give, and I think the gratitude and the giving,
like I said, we never take it for granted. And like I said, we were just fortunate. I think of, our situation of being, 17 and 18 and deciding to get married and start a family. And, not everybody is ready for that or how, but what if I didn't have a supportive family?
Yeah.
Like, what if it was still me and Tim, but I had, a family that said, oh, no way, like you're out.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking of when you were telling the story, that so many folks end up in that situation
and
where they don't have the support.
I can't imagine. And it could have been totally different, even knowing who Tim and I were, if we didn't have that. So like I said, we feel like we always want to keep giving because we have been given so much from them. And I mean, my in-laws, I love them. I mean, they're both no longer here. And the first 7 years, we lived it was a double house that Tim's parents lived in. And so, when we got married, there wasn't a lot of places for us to go, but they opened up the other half of their house and we lived there for the first 7 years. And I got time with his parents that, now his brothers and sisters are, out of the house, that I got to spend with them and so fortunate. And so, I mean, they really paved the way of taking, everything is going to work out. Everything is going to be okay. I had Tim's mom, Molly, and Butch to talk to every night. Yeah. And my own parents, who only lived a few miles away, who always, wanted to be with with their grandchildren, with my children, and help us. And yeah, what if? Yeah. That's the reality. And it's, so we feel like, we just want to keep giving.
But what you're describing, I think, in a way, is an old-fashioned value that people absolutely crave today, because we're supposedly so much more connected digitally, but that connection is nothing like what you're describing.
Yes.
Being next door to your in-laws.
Oh, I wouldn't have traded any of that. And trust me, I know I joke because we lived on the half of the house for 7 years, and then we bought the house next door. So then I lived on the other side of them for another 8 to 10 years before we bought the house. So I literally, the first 20 years was there, which we call main campus. So
that's where the wellness day was.
Yeah, that's where the wellness day was. But think about it. Tim has 9 brothers and sisters. So when one of them, I'm going to visit mom and dad today, I only see them, once a week. Well, times that by the other, somebody was there all the time.
Yeah, right.
All the time. We hosted every holiday, every party, and I loved it, but it was a lot. So we were connected, and we finally, after 20 years, bought a house that's a little further away. And I call it my cave. I turned it into my cave because then I was able to I love you guys, but I'm going home now, away from you for a little while.
Percy knows to always drive separately.
Yeah. So
but I mean, she may have to drive back and pick people up.
But there was that connection all the time that today is, everything changed. A lot of things have changed.
Weird, Butch and Molly.
Oh, yes.
Everybody does.
Everybody did. Even I did.
Yes. Yeah, but they have that experience being right next to them.
Being right next to them.
And I also think, and you had brought this up too, the way you approach a situation makes all the difference. And I mean, and I just think that's why I asked you, did you panic when you found out you were pregnant?
No.
And it's because you had this incredibly supportive, your family was, and Tim's family.
Yes.
And so when when we're in our own lives reacting to something, we might want to just pause for a minute and think, how could I approach this where the outcome is positive?
Because I do feel I'm very spiritual. I'm very just like every, July 17th to the 26th, St. Anne's is calling me to go to that novena. And I feel that there's, how we react is how I feel inside, and that it's going to work out. Okay. And we've, lost Tim's parents. My father has passed. We've lost close family members. But we've done that knowing we're going to be okay. Okay. We're going to be okay. And do things come up that still challenge us? Will they? Absolutely. But do I feel like our joyous days outnumber our sad days? Yes. Yes. Have they? And yes. And I feel that even on our saddest days, we've done it together.
Let me ask, that's a great lead into my question, which is like making a marriage work over 4 decades.
Yeah.
With several more to go.
Right.
Like if we're, if we're all lucky, if you're lucky and Tim, how do you get through all those different seasons?
Wow. Yeah. And Tim is my best friend.
Yeah.
He really is. I mean, I never had a sister, and I have all these sister-in-laws and these really good friends, but he's my best friend. And he knows, some of the deepest parts of my heart and brain, and hopefully some of my soul. And I do feel it, if nothing else, I have his back and he has mine. And I think that over 40 years, I've never doubted that. And although we don't really disagree on a lot of things, things that could easily be, talked through or whatever, because we've had the same goals, values. Like I said, for us, slow and steady has won the race. Like always lived within our means, always focused on family, always stayed, through thick and thin. And he's my best friend. Like
Pretty much right there.
right there, that he's, And I mean, him as much as I do. And he's always had a way of having a vision for things that sometimes I don't see. So we complement each other.
Yeah.
And I'm the one who maybe pulls him back to reality at times when he needs it, but yet allowing him to see and do what he has in him to do. Which is like
you let him be Tim and he lets you be Kris.
He does.
Because you're very different.
We are in a lot of ways. And we've done
you
it.
Come back at the values and the family.
We come back.
Yeah.
I still.
It's amazing.
He's still the guy I said when I was 12, and I'm like, he may not know it yet. You may not know it yet. And maybe it'll take you a couple of years to figure that out, but I'll wait. And then we're going to, get married and, go on with this thing. So
Krissy, what are some things to share with listeners? Because your story is it's just very satiating for some reason, and very, so positive. And that's how I always feel around your family too, is just, that life's going to be okay. Things are good. You don't have to overreact or fight, or I'm always like, well, what would Krissy do for this? Or what would Emily do? I'm always thinking because it's just very well measured, but still joyous. What are some resources or things? And I think you've shared a lot of them. I took on yoga. You got this certification. What can you share with listeners to help them if they're feeling a little stuck?
I think if you're feeling a little stuff, like I said, I think it's time for you to start to focus on yourself. And like I said, it took me a while because my family and my kids and getting them grown and their own people and independent was so important. But you can't lose sight of taking care of yourself. And that doesn't mean just going to a yoga class. It means, take it physically. spiritually, emotionally, financially, right? And always wondering, how am I waking up every day and trying to be the better person, the better part of me that I can be, right? So it's like basic things. And then finding things that you really are passionate about, right? That do bring you joy. We don't like drama in our lives. Like the Holmes family, they don't like drama, right? And that's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
That's a good thing. And things always could be worked out. I think I always felt, when I was with Tim's mom especially, that talking to her, even for a few minutes a day, you just got a sense of calmness about her. And because I lived there with her for so long, I hope that some of that was a guide for me, and a way that I'm like, she really knows how to handle things. She raised 10 kids. And she's the most calm person that I know. Like, there is no reason to like overreact or worry too much about what's coming. And I am a planner, so this is not easy for me to say, because I love to have things very planned out. But knowing that if something goes off plan, it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up. I think a lot of times we're way too harder on ourselves than we need to be, and enjoy little things. I mean, if anything, all we need to be together is some form of music, and we are going to dance. And you're all going to sing, and we are going to dance, and we are going to laugh. And it's really easy, simple things. You could do that anywhere, anytime, any place, and we've done that.
And it doesn't have to be Instagram worthy.
No.
Oh, good.
No, I am not.
I think people worry about that. I think that they are trying to create something that, they can post on social media. But the reality is they're missing.
Most of the time, I don't even have my phone with me. And
that's true.
She knows this, because she may send a message,
actually.
and she may not get an answer because I don't really have it. I really try to not have it with me most of the time.
That's so interesting.
And I don't.
You're like the only person I know.
No,
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Chrissy, you said something. So this is like the perfect way to tie everything together. So there's this book that actually Emily gave me.
Our daughter.
Simple Abundance here.
Highly recommend.
And highly recommend. And so she gave this to me, and it's like every day there's just like, a few paragraphs of something to think about and contemplate that day. And you started a text string so that some of Tim's sisters and myself and Emily can all kind of comment on these when the spirit moves us, right?
Because I just felt like, like you see in movies, and, the big dramatic scene when people are separated, but they're looking at the same moon, right? And it kind of just thought, wow, we're reading the same, or supposed to be reading the same little meditations every day. And I'm like,
how are you interpreting it?
We should be shared. This is a share moment of beautiful, smart people that I love more than anything are reading the same thing. I'm like, I have to start a text on this.
It was great. And you just said something, and this was not planned. But I wanted to share this book, but I had my pen open to the one I read today, because I think this is a great resource that you shared with me. But I think this is also meant to be how we bring it all together. So it says here, just the first paragraph, it says, Martin Buber, the great Jewish philosopher, told a story about a Hasidic Tzaddik, or enlightened master, named Rabbi Zusia, who often pondered whether he was living an authentic life. And then he says, if they ask me in the next world, why were you not Moses? I will know the answer. But if they ask me, why were you not Zusia? I will have nothing to say.
Is that?
And you just said you tried to live as the best
as me, as the best me.
And my dad always used to say, be the best Michelle you can be the best. And I am just going to say, I think you are living fully up to being the best Chrissy.
Hope so.
I hope so.
And this has been so
This is-
inspiring and fulfilling.
I loved hearing your story.
Well, thank you, ladies.
Beautiful.
This is I was a little nervous going in. I'm
I can
not
see
used
that.
to talking about myself per se, but
I see your,
but-
your life, your story. It's just so beautiful. Your family, what you've given this world
I hope
through something, and it would have happened in different ways, but through a little surprise when you're 18,
right.
and the two human beings you brought into this world, and then what they've got, and so on and so on.
I do
Giving
say that Pat and
it's
Emily
amazing.
are the best parts of me and Tim.
They are, for sure. They're great.
Yeah.
But, I think this is your, my life wouldn't be the same without you in it. So I think,
Wow.
it goes back and forth. It's a better world for all that you've given to it, and not just me, for all the giving back to the community you do, and that Tim does, like you do together. And, we're just so grateful that you came and joined us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was you guys sparked me. Out the shirt, I've been sparked.
That's it.
That's your t-shirt swag. I say sparks. Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's get the merch. We'll get Tim on it.